I had to read it about 25 times to make sure it was real. In fact, my dad was the first guy who ever transcribed Tommy Emmanuel and uploaded the tabs to the internet. The guy said to me, "We'd like to build you a signature guitar," and I just couldn't believe this. I don't know if you saw Alex Hutchins did a video recently where he was talking about never quite feeling like it's good enough. And I have the same problem. There's a lot of kind of keeping the secrets to yourself kind of thing. I never ever want to do that. I always want to tell people what's going on, because what's the point? I mean, the thing is, people showed me stuff and that's why I can play the way I play. And it was always amazing when you got a piece of information that you could work with. The inspiration you felt was incredible.
Herzlich willkommen zu diesem Video. Dieses Video wird ausnahmsweise in Englisch sein, weil der Tom nur Englisch kann. Das ist Tom Quayle. Do I say it right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Perfect.
Okay, von jetzt an in Englisch und wir versuchen da irgendwie Untertitel zu machen oder sowas, ne? Danke. Hey Tom.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome to my channel.
Thank you very much.
Very nice to have you here. We are at the Ibanez Guitar Festival and we are very friendly, you are very friendly to give us an interview. I have some questions.
Okay.
Why guitar?
My dad is an incredible guitar player. He plays like Tommy Emmanuel, stuff on acoustic. In fact, my dad was the first guy who ever transcribed Tommy Emmanuel and uploaded the tabs to the internet. He's kind of famous in that world. So when I was a kid, guitar was always being played in the house. And my parents were folk musicians. So they ran folk clubs and we used to go as kids to listen to all sorts of people playing music. And so I always wanted to play guitar. But it wasn't till I was about 15 that my dad bought me a guitar and I started taking it seriously. But yeah, it's always been a big thing in my family. Everybody in my family plays guitar. It's like my sister, my brothers, my mum, my dad. So it's a big thing in my family.
So that would conclude the next question as well. What has inspired you?
Yeah.
It's probably that.
Yeah.
And how did you stay on it? So you, most people like start and try the guitar because it's cool, and how did you stay on it? What did you get out of it so you kept motivated? I
remember when I first started playing, I was into, there was a band called the Wild Hearts in the UK. They were like a punk band from Newcastle. They're quite famous in the UK. I don't think they're famous outside the UK.
Never heard of it.
But it was all power chord punk stuff and I really liked it. But then very quickly, my dad got me a Guitar Techniques magazine. Do you know Guitar Techniques magazine?
I know Guitar for the Practicing Musician.
So it's kind of the UK equivalent of that, because Guitar for the Practicing Musician would have tabs in the back. They transcribed famous songs. So Guitar Techniques magazine, they transcribed famous songs, and Guthrie Govan wrote for that magazine, Dave Kilminster, who plays with Roger Waters, Jamie Humphries, who a lot of people will know. Really famous guys who are incredible players were writing for that magazine. So I used to get that magazine monthly and consume everything in the magazine. And then, in fact, in my generation, that's a very famous thing from UK guitar players. If you speak to UK guitar players, like Guitar Techniques magazine. And then I would get the album that I was into at the time, I would get the transcriptions for it, and then I would learn everything. And that kind of, I remember very distinctly the feeling of listening to Passion and Warfare or Images and Words, all of that stuff. I couldn't, yeah, it is like literally, we pray to the gods of shred guitar. I couldn't get enough. And I just became obsessed. So I was that cliched guy who was practicing I wasn't, I was playing 6-7 hours a day because I couldn't put the thing down. And I nearly failed I nearly didn't do very well in my exams at school because of guitar. I had to be really pushed by my parents to put it down, stop playing guitar, you need to study. So yeah, it was a big thing.
Actual first question I had, because the guitar was on the way.
Yep.
It's so popular here. How did you become an Ibanez artist?
So I've actually played Ibanez guitars since about 1995 when I started playing. I had an RG 470, and then from there I've always had Ibanez guitars. And I had brief periods where I would play other guitars, but this has always been my #1 brand, because all my heroes played Ibanez guitars. And so when I started going to the NAMM show in about 2009, so quite a long time ago. I'm getting old now, so I've been going a long time. And the guys from Ibanez would periodically come and say to me, "Oh, we'd love to have you playing our guitars. Would you like to be an Ibanez artist?" And I was very happy where I was with another guitar brand. They were really good. It was like being with family. They were great. So I constantly said, thank you very much, but I'm happy where I am. And then 2017, NAMM maybe, the guys said to me, we'd like to build you a signature guitar. And I just couldn't believe this. In actual fact, I'm slightly wrong. They spoke about the AZ model to me and asked me my opinion on the guitar before it had been released and announced. And then I received an email from Ibanez saying, we'd like to build you a signature guitar. And I had to read it about 25 times to make sure it was real. Because it's a dream come true, having an Ibanez signature guitar. And it was real. And then the guys from Japan came over with a bunch of prototype guitars and images for the kind of guitar they would like to make. And then we collaborated on, it should look like this, it should have these features. And that's how it came about, basically. And it still doesn't seem real. It's bizarre. Still seems like a dream. It's very strange. I'm going to wake up soon, I'm sure. Yeah.
No, actually, I had your first guitar.
I remember, yeah.
The first...
the TQ-M1.
Yeah, the TQ-M1.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but I kept the MM1.
I know,
yeah. The humbucker on the neck
That's it,
was not a thing for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I tried that one, and I'm thinking of ordering it maybe. Yeah, and the color is really the thing Yeah, that's actually a really great color.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's one of those colors where depending on what the light's doing, it changes. So I can see some green in here and some gray and black. But in certain lights, it's purple as well. So it depends.
Matte, so it's nice to feel.
So that's the thing.
Not gloss.
The thing with flame tops like this is when you gloss them, they pop more. They look more impressive. But in this kind of environment with lights and stuff, and like you, I do a lot of video stuff.
Yeah.
You stick to the guitar. I can feel it even on the matte finish.
And you see the screen of the computer.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it reflects really badly. And I get the same thing with the glasses as well. So I was like, I don't want to, have this happening again. But you nailed it. The matte thing feels amazing to play. So whilst you don't quite get the pop on the top, you can see it's beautiful though, but it feels so nice. And the necks on these guitars have always been kind of like satin finish. So it matches all the way through now, which is great for me. I really like it. The only other thing we did with this guitar was, apart from the finish, was the pickups are completely different now. So these are TQ custom pickups that Ibanez have made.
They're much better.
Yeah, well, so do I. They're much lower output. So the thing with the Hyperions that were in, well, the guitars you've got, you changed them out, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. They're great pickups, but they're kind of inoffensive in lots of different ways. They don't have any particular strengths and no particular weaknesses, but they don't really excel in anything. And they're quite high output. These are much lower output, so the dynamic range is much, much better, which is something I was looking for, really. I wanted to be able to roll the volume down and still have a really nice kind of cutting tone. And just the pick attack is so much wider with this. You can get so much more dynamic response from it. So, it's great. It's kind of my perfect AZ now in many ways. It's awesome.
Nice. So, what are your, it's probably the same question, the two parts. Recent projects, what are you doing right now?
So my life changed a little bit during, like a lot of people, during COVID. I started working on an app called Solo, which I released in 2001. So my big COVID project, when we couldn't play live, we couldn't do anything, was working on this app. Now, we released it in 2001. It's a fretboard visualization app. And it went crazy. We went to #1 in the app charts all over the world for music, not overall, that would be insane.
Yeah,
but for music, we went to #1 all over the world. We're constantly in the top 50. Like today in Germany, we're #4 in the app charts. So that has become quite a big part of my life. So I have this software company now called Trio Software, and we make music apps or practice apps for musicians. And we've been working on app #2 for quite a while. I can't tell you what it is yet because like with Solo, there's nothing like it on the market. So I don't want to tell people and then somebody goes, oh, I need to release an app like that before we do. But it's going to come out later this year and it's designed to make you a better musician in terms of how your ears connect to your fingers.
Oh, we want to know about that. We have to exchange addresses at the end.
We'll get you in for the beta testing.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
And I have the Solo app. And I have to say, if you get the Solo app, you have to get the course.
Yeah.
The course is awesome.
Cool,
and
thank you.
It's way too cheap for what it does. It's such a good course. If you want to have orientation on the fretboard, there's nothing like it. anywhere.
Yeah.
Even on, I do courses, right? I have 20 courses on my German-speaking courses.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But this is like, and you do it with your friend, David?
David Beebe, yep.
And you exchange like everybody's doing this and somebody's doing that. And it's just so well explained. And like even for beginners, you can do it. And for pros, you can do it. It probably at first can't do it because it's
well, this is the thing.
Really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can get into it, and it's you get a better. You're gonna be a better musician anyway. So those I think $100 or whatever.
Yeah, it's 149, but we regularly do sales on it.
Yeah, but even if you pay 149, it's like awesome. Yeah. So get the app, get the course, those both together. And you know the fretboard. If you work on it like, whatever, 20 minutes a day, what do you suggest?
That's the idea.
This?
No, literally, because it's a very cerebral, like engaging task. You have to think really hard. So you don't want to do more than 10, 20 minutes. Yeah. But the idea is if you go through that course, you could literally visualize anything. You could, we're not saying that if you do the course, you'll be an incredible musician. There's more things involved. But if you go through the course with the app and you practice regularly, you will be able to visualize anything anywhere on the fretboard. And we've had amazing feedback for it. So yeah, we're very proud of it. I would be, you know, I would say that I made it, but I am very proud of it. I think it's a really good product and it's helped a lot of people. So yeah, we're very, very pleased with it.
Yeah, very nice. So I have a guitar specific question now. But first, where's the solo album?
Yeah, I know. I've been promising this for years. I actually went quite a long way to getting it finished. So a lot of the tracks are pretty much done, but I don't know if you saw Alex Hutchins did a video recently where he was talking about never quite feeling like it's good enough. And I have the same problem. I always feel like
I feel you so hard, you can imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
I just released it.
Oh, did you?
It's such a big weight off my shoulders.
Yeah, I can imagine. It was
in the works like 10 years, and I always said, next year I'm going to do it, next year. And then I said, fuck it, I'm going to book the CD release concert and pay for it.
So you have to do it.
So I have to do it, right? And that was the thing I had to do.
That's actually genius.
And then I did it. I can recommend doing that, but it's gonna be a year of total stress.
Yeah. That's
and
very clever.
And it was.
Yeah, I should do that. I mean, I've got like I played the stuff live a fair bit, and people are really into the tracks. But it's just, I don't know. There's a thing as well where it's been so long now that it feels almost weird. Like I do need to get it out there and just have it done with it, you know.
Yeah, I had songs on there that are 12 years old.
Yeah,
and I just realized
that
and said, this song feels new to me. That's the song I wrote. It's a new song, but it's now 12 years old.
Well, I have an acoustic song that's on there that, oh God, I wrote that in 2003, 2004. I mean, it's so old, it's ridiculous. It's incredibly hard to play, so I very rarely play it. But yeah, there's stuff on there that's super, super old, and I just need to get it out there and be done with it.
Yeah, that's the thing. You think on this one song, I can practice it a little more, and it will sound a little better.
Exactly.
And I can't do it now, but I have to practice. And then you start practicing it. I say, yeah, do it. I'm going to do it next month. And then something else comes up, and you're going to do it next year. You know?
Yeah,
I know.
I have kids now, and you know, I have responsibilities. It's like trying to find time to do that is very, very difficult. So
yeah. So just a quick soon. Okay.
It's always been soon.
Yeah. If I hear you play, I mean, everybody knows, not everybody, but some people know those legato lines, the 3-note per string mode things, you know. Like, but if you play those legato lines, they just sound different. They sound better. They sound more interesting. Can you maybe show one trick how to make such a legato line, not like 3-note per string, but to make it like a little bit more interesting?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I mean, I think of things in, let's say there's 4 different things you can apply to a 3-note per string scale to make interesting lines. So the first one would be like just basic scale things that everybody knows. So everybody thinks of these standard. Oh yeah, we can plug in, yeah.
We have the
angled jack is interesting on the NZ.
Yeah. Is it this one? Yeah.
Perfect. So everybody thinks of like these scale runs that Joe Satriani's been doing for years. So all of these kind of... Everybody knows those things. So we've been practicing those for years. So if you stick those to one side for now and say we can do those, there's also other things you can do. So you could do, the next step on would be to do chromatic versions of those. So this can be super simple. You don't need to be a jazz musician. You don't need to worry about enclosures and all of this kind of chromatic approach notes. You can literally fill in the gaps. So this might be just filling in the gap between the second and fourth fingers in a G major scale. So that's, I call those little chromatic fragments, basically. So we have scale fragments. Then you have chromatic fragments.
That's what I mean.
So as well as that, you have little arpeggio fragments. So you can play at any point within the scale. Say if I start on the G here, you could play a G major 7 arpeggio. And you can play little fragments of that. So for example, I could play through up to this B scalically, and then come up the arpeggio, then pull off chromatically, go up the arpeggio, play a little scale fragment. And I could also put these little transition fragments in, so position shifting fragments that look like this. So if you combine those 4 things, you can come up with some really cool lines. So I could do this in G major. So I don't know what I did. I improvised something, but I think I started out with a chromatic fragment, followed by maybe some arpeggio, then coming down chromatically, then a scale fragment, then maybe a transition fragment, up an arpeggio, maybe from here I come down chromatically, and then slide into the 5th. And I kind of have practiced these things so many times that I can just kind of improvise them. They kind of roll off the fingers. And I have to practice them. You have to do them in all sorts of different scales and keys. So if I have like a B flat Lydian dominant, maybe you... So you have to be able to do them in any key or any scale, but it's the same principle. Scale fragments, chromatic fragments, arpeggio fragments, and transition fragments, position shifting. That's it, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to know. Because the funny thing is, I asked Guthrie Govan the same thing in his workshop, and he said, yeah, it's just improvise, I don't know what I'm doing. And he probably lied. You lied.
There's a lot of like people, I'm not saying he's doing this because I love Guthrie, but there's a lot of kind of keeping the secrets to yourself kind of thing. I never ever want to do that. I always want to tell people what's going on, because what's the point? I mean, the thing is, people showed me stuff and that's why I can play the way I play. And it was always amazing when you got a piece of information that you could work with. The inspiration you felt was incredible. You just wanted to pick the guitar up and like work on that thing. So to be able to do that for other people is the best thing ever. It's amazing. I don't teach a lot these days, but when I used to teach in person, I loved that feeling. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's a really big thing you said there. Some people hold it back.
Yeah.
They know the one important information that you want to hear from them, but they don't give it to you. I don't know if Guthrie did that or if he just was like tired of teaching at that
it could have
day.
been, yeah.
Could have been. It was a lot of teaching for him at that day. Yeah, and there's another question a little bit similar, but not exactly. So it seems very effortless if you play. If I ever watched your left hand, there's no effort at all. It's watchable here, not like...
No.
Right? Do you have any tips on that if you want to get to that point?
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that you need really light gauge strings and a low action. You don't. I use 10 to 46, which is like medium gauge for electric. It's normal. This is not my guitar. It's been set up. It's my signature, but it's not my signature, if you see what I mean. It's been set up by the guys here, and it's quite low. I like mine a little bit higher, and the reason that that's not a problem is because I try to practice in such a way that I'm really consistent about the angle of the hand and where on the fingertip the string is being touched by, well, the callus. You know that, the callus, yeah?
Yeah.
I don't know the German word, obviously, but the callus on the end of your finger. so that when you play, if you have inconsistency where sometimes you're a bit higher or a bit flatter or a bit like this, or any change is going to make this hard for you because it's going to feel different every time you play. So I sat for hours and hours and hours very slowly making sure that every aspect of my technique was consistent. And if you have that consistency, you do not need to slam your fingers into the fretboard or pull really hard. You can be very light with an electric guitar or an acoustic if it's set up well as well. So I have this thing where this may not translate very well on the microphone, so apologies if not, but I want to make sure I can hold a conversation with somebody at the same time as doing this, so I'm not really tense while I'm doing it. So we always do this thing in masterclasses where I'll play, just start, and then we can talk. So you can ask me whatever you want to. And this is not taking up so much of my brain that I'm kind of like, oh, I'm forgetting to breathe or I'm forgetting to talk. It's subconscious now. Whereas when I pick, I have to really engage like force, and it's a physical technique. This is very smooth, very light, and that consistency allows that lightness without having to think and press and, you know, really engage muscles. It's a problem sometimes because if I play acoustic stuff and it's like a lot of the big strumming, I can't get the volume out of my playing that I need to on acoustic. But if it's a more light touch thing where you're just playing like, then I'm fine. So there is a downside to it. I can't get the volume and projection that pick bass players get, but that's the compromise.
Yeah, but
for
you're
me.
Concentrated on that part.
That thing specifically, yeah. So again, any instrument, you know, guitar in particular, because everybody has a unique style, you lose something to gain something else. So I've gained the fluidity and the precision and kind of relaxation at the expense of big volume and projection, which I would get from like gypsy jazz or whatever. I can't play those styles at all.
Yeah, I just was in a workshop with Joshua Stefan and tried this special technique, but it's not for me either.
No, I can't do it at all.
I can't do it.
And I've worked for hours on my picking, but it's never been comfortable. And so because this legato technique is really comfortable, it makes me relax and makes me play better than trying to concentrate on picking and then like having a hard time. I'm not enjoying myself if I do that. And I want to enjoy myself when I play, just like when I was 16, you know.
Nice. So I have one last question. It's supposed to be the last question. So if you had a beginner in front of you who just started to play the guitar and he said, what's the way? Where do I go? What's the one tip you would give that beginner? Time. You have to be able to play in time and feel time very well. Because have you seen the old Scott Henderson thing where he does the, well, maybe don't spoil it. If I do this, what's the song? Yeah, it's Happy Birthday.
There you go. You didn't need any of the notes.
I know the video from Scott.
Yeah, you know the thing.
I know Scott.
So he proves a really good point, which is that if you have good time and you can articulate the time well, and you can lay down time well, just in terms of like being able to feel the pulse, even with simple stuff, everybody will accept your playing and enjoy your playing. Whereas I've met so many guitar players who have insane levels of technique, but no time. So they find jamming really hard, they find laying down the pulse really hard, and people can't connect at all. They can't connect with what you're doing. You must have that pulse. So get that down first, even at a basic level, and then start building the technique, the repertoire, the tone, all of that stuff. But time is the #1 thing. That's a very good tip. So Tom, thank you very much for the interview. It was very nice, and I will work on those fragments. Yes. Holy, yeah, that's what I wanted to know, because it always was like a mystery to me, because I know the technique, I know all the books, Gothrie's books as well, of course. And you probably showed in your courses. I'm not through them, I have to admit, as so much courses. That's cool. But I will probably give them another shot, because you probably showed it in your courses. I do, and I had the legato thing with the runs, the scale fragments. I have them down, the chromatic part even, but those are connecting things and the arpeggio. That's what's totally missing from the legato playing of the side. Yeah, so thank you very much for that. My pleasure. Thanks for having me. And I hope people will get that as well. And yeah. Okay, now in German.
Ich muss in die Kamera gucken, sagt mir gerade der Erik. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Das war Tom Quayle. Und wenn dir es gefallen hat, gib mir einen Daumen nach oben. Wenn es dir nicht gefallen hat, zweimal den Daumen nach unten. Kanal abonnieren, Glöckchen drücken, nicht vergessen. Und wir sehen uns hoffentlich im nächsten Video. Mach's gut, bis dann. Und nochmal danke.
Thank you. Dankeschön.